Hello everybody and welcome back to another developer live stream for Beyond the Wire. I'm joined today by both creative director Bruno and our producer Mitsu. How are you doing, guys?
Hello.
Hey everyone.
Thanks for joining us, lads. So welcome everyone. Sort of a double hitter today. We've got our free weekend kicking off sort of any time around now once Steam wakes up. And we're also going to break down our latest roadmap which we released last week. Part of the roadmap was an immediate future, looking at the most recent update to come, and the rest was a little bit further down the line, but we're going to go into a bit more detail on that with our two guests today. So, Philip, let's go straight onto it, mate. You're the producer, so probably the ideal man for this sort of question. With this roadmap, how far did we want to look into the future, and what was the overall aim with the roadmap itself?
Yeah, thanks for having me today. With the roadmap, we really just wanted to share our vision for Beyond the Wire into the next few years. And we are not overly specific about what this roadmap entails, but it's essentially our roadmap towards a 1.0 release of Beyond the Wire. And so what we really just want to share is what we internally have been working on in terms of planning and designing, and just share that with the community, because we feel that it's better if we have a shared vision with the community and can communicate our plans and goals more publicly.
Excellent, thank you, mate. So, I suppose the next question for that, Bruno, would be: is the cadence of releases going to be similar to what we've done up to now? I know we touched on it on our Operation 2 launch stream, but just to clarify for everyone else as well.
Yeah, it's going to be somewhat similar. We're not really releasing any specific dates yet at the moment, but we do have Operation 3 coming sometime during summer, and for the other operations and for the remaining content that's on the roadmap, that's still to be determined exactly when that's going to be coming. Like Philip said, there's stuff in there that's more towards 1.0 release, and there's stuff there that's going to be coming during those in between of those releases.
Excellent. So straight up then, we obviously kicked off, we like to reference our starting point on the roadmap, which was Operation 2 for King and Country. So our next operation, which has got a decided title, because the other two are sort of undecided at the minute and still in the works. So Philip, Operation 3, we can get a graphic up for everyone now. Canada's 100 days. So can you just give us a quick top to bottom about what is going to be coming, the sort of the main hitters with this update?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited about this one, not only because we expand the amount of content available, but we will also heavily invest into new features, which we believe will make Beyond the Wire a much more enjoyable experience. So starting off, we are obviously going to introduce the Canadian Expeditionary Force, and they will be available on 2 more maps, potentially more depending on our goals, but one more faction and 2 more maps, which are Vimy Ridge and Villamont. And for those who have not heard about Villamont, the alternative name for that region is Hartmannswillerkopf, which is a mountainous area between Germany and France. So that's going to be interesting. As always, we have plenty new toys, weapons in stock that we will be releasing with this update. And what we are personally very excited about is the customization and progression system, which will allow players to authentically and tastefully customize their player just with a bit more historical variety.
Awesome, mate. And this customizer and progression, I know it was something that we've certainly been talking about internally for quite a while and planning and building. So we have got some screenshots to show people of some prototype images of what this is going to look like in game. Please bear in mind that this is very early and still quite a way off from what it is going to look like in game. So while these screenshots are going on, Bruno, can you just go into a bit more detail on what you personally are wanting this customization and progression system to deliver for the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal with this is, of course, give the players something that they can play the game, they can unlock this, and they can kind of show off, but also like add to the immersion, add to the cinematic aspect of Beyond the Wire. Uh, and one of the elements that's really cool about this is how the customization is going to work in a way that it's accurate to the years where that equipment was available or was being used. So if you see a certain type of helmet being used, it's going to be available for certain dates, at maps that take place in certain dates, right, in certain battles. So I think that's going to add even more that like that authentic feeling that Beyond the Wire already has. We're going to be expanding on that. Going to be making that even bigger, and of course, you're still going to be able to unlock this cosmetic items and make your character look cool. Like make your own version of yourself in game, which is really important for us as well. It is also important to like bring it up that I know Philip already touched on this, but I'll reinforce this point. This is all authentic equipment. There's no like crazy pink camouflage or anything like that. For more realistic equipment. So yeah, that's kind of what we're aiming for in terms of progression and customization for Beyond the Wire there.
Yeah, I mean, we see that it can be quite a contentious point for a variety of reasons due to past experiences. However, that historical authenticity is a core point of this game, and translating that into your experience on the battlefield is going to be a high priority. With this being quite an in-depth system, given that we've talked about how the years will determine what uniforms that you will be deploying with, Philip, can you talk about how big of a job this has been for references and trying to come up with these sort of options for players?
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of research we had to put in to um, come up with a list of potential cosmetic items was enormous. We are working with a variety of historians who have been assisting us throughout this process, but just from the design perspective, finding authentic equipment pieces that can be used over multiple years or just in 1 year, that was definitely a challenge. And not only that, like the research part and then the design, certainly a big feat, but the entire like back-end development is still ongoing and is a major technical challenge. But we're very excited about it, makes us excited to work on it, and we're very happy that we're progressing really well with it.
Yeah, and there's been some sharp eyes noticing the difference in the UI, the menu. So yes, there will be a menu overhaul along with it, and a new UI. So we will be sharing a lot more of this as it progresses. Our development recaps will probably touch on these a bit more now that we revealed. So let's just go straight into Op 4 then. So we've got Operation 4, Bruno, which is The Last Great War, currently a working title. So just tell us about the top hitters with this again, just like Philip did for Operation 3, mate.
Absolutely. So yeah, like you said, Last Great War, working title, very likely to change, but it's going to be the one bringing in the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. So we are really excited for that. Really excited to be representing them on Beyond the Wire. And of course, there's going to be new maps coming along with that, and we are aiming to have our first version of the multiplayer campaign on that one as well. So yeah, something that we're really looking forward to, as it's gonna we believe it's going to improve the overall experience of the players dramatically once the sequence of maps you're playing make sense in terms of like you're progressing through this campaign, and also at that point we're gonna have enough content for that to happen. So we're gonna have enough maps, have enough factions, and weapons and all that to really make that happen. Um, but it's also the update that we're aiming to be releasing vehicles, which is quite a big deal for us. It's a really really interesting goal. Like I know we many times we talked about vehicles before, and it was always, we're focusing on infantry. We're focusing on infantry. Now we're feeling like we're getting close to the infantry experience that we want, and we want to start adding on top of that, and we're gonna add vehicles and more cool toys later on. And
Well,
another big one.
sorry,
Yeah,
can I just stop you there while we're on the discussion of tanks, because we've got some juice for the viewers.
yeah, we do.
Which Bruno, thank you, mate. You've acquired for us today. So this is some brand new, hot off the shelf footage of a tank being used in game. So here we go. Let me know if it's a bit too loud. But Bruno, talk us through what's going on here, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, this is a work in progress prototype that we've been working on. And what you're seeing right now on screen is me driving the MK4 on Freeze, which is one of our maps on Beyond the Wire. And I'm just driving around this gorgeous machine, and I'm just kind of like switching back and forth between first-person camera, which is going to be it's going to be a little bit different from what we see on screen there. Currently, we just have like this camera that's kind of like on front of the vehicle, but what players are actually going to see in game, it's going to be a view from the inside the tank. So you're going to have like the tank window and your viewport and all that stuff. But I'm also showing the tank from a third-person perspective there, and that's not really something we're planning on having in the game at the moment. It's just a debug tool, or like a development tool that allows us to look at the vehicle as we're driving it. But for immersion reasons and for gameplay reasons, we are not very likely to have this kind of camera in the game. But you can see a lot of the systems are already working in there in this prototype. There is particle systems kicking off, even though they're like very tiny at the moment. They're like kicking off as you drive over grass, as you drive over mud. You're gonna see that all those effects playing. You can see the tracks moving. The tracks respond to like your input, so you can enable left or right tracks and that kind of stuff, and navigate the map using that, of course. There are no weapons being shown on this video. The tank is actually missing the forward gun, but the two weapons on the sides are actually fully working. They're just not shown in this video here. But you can actually go in there and operate those cannons, and it's really satisfying, like really interesting. As you're shooting those guns, you actually can see the tank like shake a little bit. It's really interesting. So a little bit more about this tank. This is it's going to be really interesting. We're going to be bringing really fresh feeling to Beyond the Wire. This tank is going to be operated. We're planning on having it operated by 3 people, so it's going to be a driver and 2 gunners. In real life, it was actually a crew of 8, I think, that operated this kind of tank. But we also don't want to take that many people out of the infantry experience, because we want to have the feeling that the battles are really full of soldiers. And this is a really powerful machine. Actually, you can I don't think it's on this video, but you can actually go over the trenches as it would in real life, and you can kind of like, if you hit the front of the tank against like a trench wall, it actually goes up and kind of like falls on the other side. That way, traversing that World War I type of landscape, which is what we have on most of our maps. So I think it's going to be a really interesting, really fresh experience for all the players there, and I'm really looking forward to having this in game.
Excellent, thank you, mate. There are a lot of questions in the chat. We will have quite a decent question section at the end, so same till the end. We've got a bit of info to run through, and then we'll pick them up. So just to touch a bit more on the tanks, Philip. Obviously, with them being limited per se during World War I, there wasn't a huge amount of them used. Have we had discussions on how they're going to be utilised in Beyond the Wire? I don't know how in depth we want to go talking about potential events in levels that we've talked about, clearing obstacles and things like that. So if you break that down, mate, we've actually got some models as well that we can show while you're talking, mate.
Yeah, awesome. Really, the goal with the inclusion of tanks and is to add a new gameplay layer that would create new dynamics where you have infantry versus tank, tank on tank, and that just creates more interesting experience, more spectacle, and that is really the goal. So we will be refining the infantry experience to work against tanks. We will make sure that field cannons are effective against tanks as well. And naturally, many gameplay systems will have to be adjusted to make the tanks work in the best way possible, right? Most of our levels have been designed specifically for infantry. And so there will be a major effort to make sure that the vehicles are not just plugged in, that's it, but rather they are feeling like a proper they're introduced properly with all the necessary changes to make them work well. And so yeah, that's really the goal. Like anti-tank weaponry will be necessary to make the tanks work, or make infantry work well against the tanks. So a variety of new gameplay elements that we see coming with the inclusion of tanks.
Excellent. Thank you. That was great. And yeah, there were some models that were done pretty recently again. Still early days, so just please bear that in mind. All right, so the last section was what we left a bit vague, or should I say a bit more vague, with it titled And Beyond. So another working title, Philip, to hell and back, which we've committed to introducing a new front, a new faction, and some other items as well. So yeah, same again, bud.
Yeah, so we never really wanted to just stick to the Western Front. We feel like expanding where players can fight during World War One would really just expand the variety of content. And other fronts were very different in how they played out. There was a lot less staleness in some of the fronts. And while we won't commit or reveal which front we will be working on next, it will be a nice departure from the Western Front, which which will add a nice added variety. And naturally, new factions that have been fighting on these fronts will be introduced as well. The Central Powers will obviously remain, but we may see new Entente and Central factions, Central Empire, Central Power factions coming in with this update.
Excellent.
And
Thanks, mate.
yeah,
Sorry, I've cut you off. My bad.
that's right. Yeah, I just really want to move on to the last 3 points. And that is just us rounding out the picture for the roadmap, right? With the inclusion of air battles and a co-op mode, we really feel like we can deliver the ultimate World War One experience, where you can enjoy very different experiences within the game. And because of our background, modding SDK is a given, and so we really felt that this is a necessary feature that we have to include at some point, where we allow the community to build their own fronts, factions, weapons, maps, and essentially just allow Beyond the Wire to be a platform for people to be creative, for communities to thrive, and for the game to essentially expand in content indefinitely.
Perfect. Excellent summary, mate. So obviously, with that being still pretty far in the future, we haven't got anything to sort of showcase or reveal today specifically. However, that will come in good time, and you know we will reveal it in the right way. So, just with obviously the roadmap delivering the highlights, so to speak, of these future updates. Bruno, I don't know if you want to. There's still the question mark about existing factions and building them out. At the bottom of the roadmap, we did say that we would be continuing with balancing, and that sort of comes under that phrasing for us. But can you just clarify for everyone some of the things that we can expect for the existing factions that we've got in game right now?
So for existing factions, we're looking to basically expand what we currently have in in ways that make sense, right? We need to keep balance as like the central aspect of this expansion. So if anything that we do, we're going to have to be able to carefully treat it so it doesn't really break the balance of the game. But as the game grows and more content comes in, we are we're kind of expecting to see some unbalancing showing up here and there. So we're always going to be going back there and tweaking those and making sure that that balance is kept between all the factions and all the weaponry that's available. In terms of also how we're going to be expanding this, I think the customization system is going to be a big one. There's definitely going to be content coming in for the existing factions. Yeah, basically uniforms or variations of uniforms, variations of helmets, and that kind of stuff that's going to be available for the existing factions.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. So that pretty much covers the roadmap. Obviously, we've got free weekend kicking off today. We had an update come out on Tuesday, which was version 0.11, which we've hotfixed again today to 11.1, which is just adjusting some of the changes we made based on feedback that you guys gave us. So I guess we can just head into the questions in the chat, unless there's anything you two wanted to touch on.
Yeah, I think the free weekend is live. So if you have friends, buddies you want to play with, tell them that Beyond the Wire is free for 3 days.
Awesome. And it's on sale, so.
Yeah, It is also actually on sale. Yeah, go get it.
I think this sale hasn't applied just for anyone just checking now, but we're on it.
It's free for 4 days, so it should be up by then. Okay, get your questions in the chat, folks. We'll start off with one I've seen straight away, and Bruno, it's pretty relevant for you, which I'm assuming is linked to the customization. How about variation on mustaches?
Yes.
Philip, flamethrowers, will they be a slot in a squad or some kind of special equipment laid in the map?
We haven't decided on that yet, but we're currently prototyping the flamethrowers. What we really want to make sure with them is that they feel realistic, where it's not just a beam of fire, but rather a liquid that is lit and then is causing proper damage. So we want to make sure that we get it right. How they get included, I don't think we have fully decided on that yet, but you'll definitely get to play with them soon.
Excellent. Well, we can't confirm anything about the new front coming later. We'll reveal that in good time, but nothing to commit on that. I saw someone. Will tanks, Bruno? Will tanks destroy barbed wire as they go over it and things like that? So will the track of the vehicle destroying?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that would make a lot of sense. Like you guys saw in the video, it's still like kind of early prototype phase, so we don't really have that feature in right now. But it's something that would make sense to be in there, and we do have the systems in for destroying barbed wire. So I don't see why we couldn't use that for tanks as well. So as you're driving over it, it breaks barbed wire or apply some sort of effect to it, right?
Okay. Someone asked while the video was running, and just to confirm what you'd said, that was obviously work in progress, and that wasn't World War I tank speed or how the tank is actually going to run in game. So just to clarify that.
Yeah, it's actually moving a little bit fast there, and it's a little too easy to maneuver right now. But it's, yeah, like you just confirmed there, it's work in progress, guys.
Awesome. Philip, I know you did touch on it, mate, but just to reconfirm, how will tanks be destroyed? What will you be able to use to destroy them?
Yeah, so there will be infantry versus tank combat, meaning that infantry will get more tools to attack and destroy tanks. Obviously, we have the bundle grenade, which is a powerful tool and was used in similar effect during World War I. Field cannons will be an effective tool, and other tanks, of course, as well. So there will be a variety of ways, and we'll be expanding the tank damage model as we go. But for the initial release, there will be enough ways to counteract tanks, for sure.
Cool. Bruno, we haven't touched on this, but it's about the Anzacs. Will the New Zealand faction and an Australian faction... Will there be a New Zealand faction and an Australian faction, or will they be combined into a single unit?
That's a good question. Actually, it's not fresh on my mind right now. I do believe it's a combined faction, or if it's or it could also be like like different types of squad as you're creating the squads. But yeah, I can't really give too much detail on that one as it's still like really early on for the Anzac. Um, yeah, all I can say for now is that we're gonna have the Anzac
We'll,
represented in. Yeah.
we'll confirm it closer to the time.
Yeah, I think when it's closer, we're going to be able to tell it more accurately how exactly that's going to work.
Excellent. Philip, do we have a status update on the Bangalore torpedoes for the engineering squad?
Yeah, we have the prototype ready. So we have like a German version where it's essentially just a wooden plank and added with a few M16 stick grenades, and then obviously the Entente version, which is a more traditional explosive device. So the prototype is in the works. Bangalore's are coming. They just didn't make it for Operation 2, so we're still working on them.
Thank you, mate. Bruno, will Germans be getting new weapons in the Canadian update?
Oh, I'm not really sure if we have anything in production for that update.
It's quite specific for that update.
Yeah, that's very. I would have to check. But there are plans for additional German or Central Powers weapons for that are going to be coming eventually. And I know everyone is probably asking this because of the MP18, and I really want to have it in the game. So hold on, guys. It's very likely to be coming.
There's ongoing discussions.
It's a really hard weapon to balance, right? And we don't want to like bring in something that's way too powerful and breaks the game for everyone else. So yeah, it's a discussion that's going on currently for sure.
And I'll just say there are still heavy weapons due for the Entente. So the Hotchkiss and things like that they're still coming. It's just taking a little bit longer than we'd like, really, but never mind, they are coming. Environment destruction is not on the agenda. It's just sorry, Bruno, you're better explaining.
Environment destruction, not I guess not the way they're probably imagining, like full destruction. I don't think that's going to be coming. We do have some items that are destroyable, like barbed wire. Like I said before, you can destroy those. And we are kind of looking into some options to have. How can I explain this? But it basically have let's say mines in the field that can create like a after the mines go off, that can create like a crater in the field. But that's still like very early on, very prototypey. We'll see how it goes. It's something that we really want to add if we can, but of course there are technical limitations there that we're trying to get around. So basically, we will do it if we find a good way of doing it. Basically, it's really hard to say at the moment.
Thank you. Philip, this has just come in now. It was a contentious one because we brought it in with the update on Tuesday. Why did we do such a quick reverse with the stamina change?
Initially, we intended to just let it play out and get some proper data on it, but we felt that the overwhelming majority of the community was not welcoming that change, and that when there's such a contentious issue, then the mechanic will not be seen for what it is, and it will be a point of controversy, and then it's not being discussed in its objective way. And so for now, what we would just have done is just revert the system, but severely reduce the stamina depletion, which is not the same, but in the effect, it's addressing an issue that we have identified, which is that stamina management in Beyond the Wire is frustrating. And we want to resolve that by different means. And the first plan was to just remove the stamina system for certain actions. And the community response was not great. And it's a community-based game, and so we have to listen to our community in certain instances, and just react. I think It would have been fine if we had let it in for the free weekend just to see how it performs. But just to clarify, the intention was not to make the game more welcoming to free weekend players. Like when we do something for Beyond the Wire, we have the core community in mind, not people that are just bypassing. And so we are making the game for the core community and not necessarily just for free weekenders. So I just want to clarify that change had very little to do with the free weekend itself. It was just a change we felt made sense. And we will probably make many wrong calls in the future, and that's part of early access, us experimenting and doing the right or wrong decisions. But as long as we have a healthy community and people are giving us feedback, we'll be able to address it in no time. So yeah.
Thank you, mate. I will reiterate as well that the reasons for doing it are still there. Our desire to polish up and tweak the gunplay, and all the good stuff. Our desire to still do that is there. So how we do it may not necessarily be a complete, removal of stamina consumption. But we are going to be continuing to tweak the gunplay and seek for that feel that we want. So everyone just keep that in mind. Are the official Philip, are the official servers only up for the free weekend, or will they be permanent fixture?
Right now, they're just scheduled for the free weekend. We have thought about official servers a few times, especially when we saw certain communities no longer support a specific region like Australia or Oceania. But we feel that the community should be hosting the servers, because then it's a community-owned and managed environment. And we as a development team simply don't have the capacity to moderate as well as the community can. And so we want to discourage ourselves from kind of overstepping there and just hosting all the servers necessary. If there, however, is a need for more official servers, and we see that, and we have no problem putting some online, that's absolutely not a major resource. So it's very easy to do, but we would prefer if the community would manage them.
Thank you. Marcia asks, will we have day, night and weather variations for the maps, Bruno? I know we do have a couple of variations on certain maps, but how do we see that going forward?
We're always trying to add as much variation as possible through the or weather system, and that encompasses also like the lighting system. So we have some maps that feature rain. We have some maps that are nighttime. We have like sunset and like different variations for the same map, basically, as it keeps that map fresh. It's always a different experience when you fight on Comble, for instance, during sunset, or when you fight during nighttime. For the weather system, it's also like really cool. We have some interesting features in there. For instance, all the materials, all the shaders in the game reflect the weather system. So if you see rain particles, you're gonna notice that all the soldiers look like they're wet, all the surfaces look like they're wet, and that also it all reacts to the weather system, which is really interesting and really cool to see. But yeah, in short, yes, we do have variations for day and night. We do have variations for weather. We're looking into different weather types. Maybe snow is something that we're going to be seeing soon. But yeah, there's weather variation.
Thank you, mate. Okay, we'll do a couple more. Philip, will there be new infantry rifles, and or new factions for the Central Powers? We mentioned with the new front there will be.
With the new front, there will be for sure. What we're currently looking into is sub-factions for the Central Powers on the Western Front. There's a few options, like the options are very limited, historically speaking, but we have found a few avenues in which we could bring additional sub-factions to the Central Powers, which would essentially be sub-factions for the German Empire. And those had their own, let's say, a little bit outdated weaponry that we're currently looking into. So there's definitely more content coming for the Central Powers. We see the vast difference in content variety between the two sides, and we want to kind of even it out. just historically speaking, there's not a whole lot, but we still found a few ways in which we could improve that for sure. So I know for those who play Central Powers because they really like the faction and the weapons and the characters, there's more content coming for sure.
Perfect. Exciting. Okay, so the last one, Bruno, we'll close out with this one. And it goes back to the tanks. And it was something we mentioned when the video was playing, but the maps for the tanks, are they going to be coming on bigger maps, or are they going to be, still the same size as what we're currently using?
Same sized maps for the tanks, so we're not going to be expanding those maps, but we are going to be adjusting some of the paths specifically for tanks, because currently you have there's a lot of debris, there's a lot of blockers on roads, for instance. So we might be adjusting those a little bit here and there, just to make the maps more make it so you can navigate better while on a tank, right? It is still going to be a challenge, of course. It is part of the experience to learn how to navigate those maps and figure out how to get to where you're going. So it's not like we're cleaning the maps completely out of debris and just turning it into like a map for tanks, but we are adjusting maps for tanks in certain ways.
And obviously, goes back to what we opened with about historical accuracy still being a very core aspect of this game. There was another question there about tanks only being available in the years that they were actually available. So that is all going to be considered, and obviously map choice and things like that will also be considered when we're looking to introduce these types of machines, to put it one way. Right, let's call it there then, gents. Thank you both, Philip and Bruno. An absolute pleasure. Thanks for your time, lads.
Yeah, thank you as well. Thanks for everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's always a pleasure to be here. Let's jump on that free weekend.
Yeah, you heard it, folks. Free weekend running from now until Monday the 24th. 35% off sale. And we've actually just launched today a bundle as well with Squad. So check that out. Check our announcement channel and Discord. Follow us on all the social medias, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.